Honestly, I never imagined that my comparisons and Asphalt Legends would blow up like this, but I'm extremely grateful for all of the support, advice, and commentary that you guys have provided for the videos I've posted. Now, if only Gameloft would notice so I can make these more interesting. Nevertheless, you guys have reignited the passion for Asphalt on this channel after it kind of faded away many years ago with us Switch players. So once again, I want to thank you all for being a part of this. If you want to join in, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel. I'll do my best to upload these comparison videos every Friday, even with school starting in a few days. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's move on to our next comparison, which is another multi-class test of cars ranked just above 3,000. Based on your votes, you wanted me to compare the Aston Martin Vulcan of Class A2, the Ford Mustang RTR Spec 5 of Class B, the TVR Sagaris of Class C, and the Volkswagen Electric R of Class D. These cars perform differently in several ways, but the one thing they have in common is that they all are just above 3,000 in rank. Many of you have said that the Class A Vulcan would win both of our tests at 1,000 minarets and straights and hairpins. Let's see if you're right. Once again, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out and to have your voice heard in future Asphalt Legends comparison videos. With that said, let's get started. Before we get to the actual tests, how about some introductions from lowest to highest rank? We start with the Aston Martin Vulcan, which is ranked at 3012 and is the lowest ranked Class A car in the game. Of the 4 cars we're testing today, it's the fastest, topping out at 357 kilometers per hour or 222 miles per hour. Its acceleration and nitro efficiency are okay, but the biggest standout is the car's handling. It's not the worst of the 4, but it's not very good either, as it has a wide drift radius and loses a lot of speed when cornering or drifting. Despite that one major drawback, you believe this car will outrun the rest. So let's see if you're right. Next up, ranked at 3025, is the Ford Mustang RTR Spec 5 10th anniversary edition of Class B, created by Formula Drift champion Vaughn Gittin Jr. to celebrate 10 years of RTR vehicles. As you can see, it isn't fully maxed out yet, but it's still pretty fast in terms of top speed. The Mustang RTR tops out at 348 kilometers per hour or 216 miles per hour, and other than having better nitro efficiency than the Vulcan, everything else about it is worse. Worse top speed, worse acceleration, and worse handling. Speaking of handling, even though it has a much tighter drift radius, the decrease in speed when drifting is greater in this than it is in the Vulcan. A good majority of you guys think this car would take both races, even though this and the Vulcan are effectively boats in the corners. We might as well even things out and introduce 2 other similarly ranked cars that aren't drift sluggish. And that brings us to our third car, ranked at 3046 and placed in Class C, is the TVR Sagaris, a straight 6 powered lightweight pocket rocket from Britain. Out of all 4 vehicles, it has the best handling and nitro efficiency, but it also has an acceleration stat that is just as bad as the Mustang RTR, and it doesn't help that it's much slower, topping out at 326 kilometers per hour or 203 miles per hour. Its handling might make it a threat on very technical straights and hairpins, but it's a sitting duck at 1,000 minarets. Here's the thing, there's a car even slower than it, and it's the highest ranked car here in this comparison video, and that car is this, the Volkswagen Electric R, or the IDR as it's officially known. It's the only 5-star car here, as well as our highest ranked car in this comparison at 3054, and there's a reason why it's so highly rated. As you guys can see, it's the fastest of all our cars and one of the quickest accelerating Class D cars with an 8850 acceleration stat. Its handling is worse than the Sagaris, but better than the Mustang and the Vulcan, and its nitro efficiency isn't too bad either. The real elephant in the room is its top speed. The Electric R might be useful in Class D weekly showdowns on technical tracks, but in this comparison, it's the slowest, topping out at only 301 kilometers per hour or 187 miles per hour. To be fair, despite that, is still fairly accurate for this car, as it only tops out at 218 kilometers per hour when set up for high downforce and 273 kilometers per hour when set up for less drag. Even with those figures, the IDR once held records at the Nürburgring Nordschleife and the Goodwood Hill Climb until the Porsche 919 Hybrid Evo and the McMurtry Sperling quickly dethroned this car in both cases. Will it regain its mojo here? Let's find out. I really can't say if this comparison is anyone's game until we run all 4 cars at straights and hairpins. 1,000 minarets is mainly a top speed test, and the Vulcan is by far and away the fastest car here, despite the Electric R's quick launch off the line. Even with the long roundabout before the final 2 ramps, I predict the Vulcan should have left the other 3 in significant distance to still hold the win over any of them, but let's see what really happens. As I expected, the Vulcan secures the win here, comfortably finishing a second in front of the Mustang. In fact, each car's placement matched their specific top speed, and even though our top 3 cars were only a second apart at the finish, the real standout is the electric car. It's the only car that doesn't top 200 miles per hour and ends up more than 3 seconds behind the Sagaris. Although it's the fastest Class D car I have tested on this circuit, its very high acceleration and relatively low top speed didn't help much. It might perform better at straights and hairpins, but I doubt it will significantly affect the final standings compared to the other 3 cars. Surprise. The electric R finished last with only a 2-second gap between it and the other cars. The real surprise here though is that the Sagaris outperformed both higher class cars at straights and hairpins. So let's break that down. Obviously the electric R would get the advantage early on due to its incredible acceleration, but the other cars would eventually catch up in that front straight. After the first few corners, things even out with the Vulcan and Mustang's top speeds being beneficial to them on the straight up the hill and the back straight toward the divided paths. However, in the midst of those corners where both of those cars lose a lot of speed, it's the Sagaris' agility and quicker drift speed that allow it to overtake both cars even at the last hairpin before the finish line. The Sagaris is the fastest through there. If the Vulcan had better handling, it could have taken the win from the Sagaris, and you guys would have been completely right about who would win this showdown instead of being half right. Well, if it wasn't obvious before, there's definitely a performance gap between Class D and the other classes in this game. Even if one of their cars has a higher ranking, we should explore more because some classes have cars that are faster on straights or quicker in corners at lower ranks than others, as we saw today with the TVR Sagaris. Don't forget to vote for which comparison you'd like to see in the future on my channel. Also, let me know what comparison you want to see by commenting below. The suggestions I put in polls are just ideas I come up with, but it shouldn't just be about me. If you give me a good comparison suggestion that many people want to see, I'll do it. I am not only doing this to explore the performance differences of certain cars, but also to satisfy your curiosity. That said, I hope you guys enjoyed this comparison. Stay tuned for more in the coming days as we finish up the Drive Syndicate and prepare for more comparisons. Until then, stay safe and I'll see you later.